Hello, everyone, and well, here it goes. Worship devotional number 17, and this will be the last one that I'll be sharing with us. So it's bittersweet. If you haven't heard yet, or have read the emails, or heard from services, me and Joey are going to be moving on to the next chapter of our lives. We're going to be moving to Nashville. We actually already moved all of our stuff into our apartment earlier this month. So in a few days, we're going to be finishing up our time here at Faith and moving down to Nashville area. So we're really excited for this next chapter of our lives, and just seeing what the Lord has in store for us. But we're also sad to be leaving this chapter and to be leaving this area and this church family that we've called home. For myself for the last 2 years, and then for Joey the last, I think, 15 years of his life. So we're really going to miss you all, and we're really excited for what God has in store for us, but we're also sad to be leaving this chapter, but also super excited for what God has in store through this next season at Faith, with Tanner stepping in. If you haven't met Tanner, he's going to be the new worship director. He's actually already here, so right now we're just finishing up serving here and just training him, helping him transition into this new role to serve as the new worship director. So we're really excited for that, and just to see what God has in store. And before we jump into the devotional part, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking me and Joey in these past 2 years and just working with us and doing ministry with us and praying for us and just supporting us over these past few years. So thank you so much. We are beyond grateful to have had this time with you all, just getting to serve and worship and just do life with you all. And for this last devotional, I figured that I just share a little bit about what God has been doing in my life these past few months in relation to this new season that we're jumping into. And I just really hope and pray that this will also encourage you. I think that we can all agree that 2020 has been a year of a lot of stretching for all of us in one way or the other. So I just pray that this devotional today will encourage you. And today I just want to focus on the book of Numbers, chapter 9 specifically. And if you're not familiar with this passage, it's the passage where we read about how the cloud was over the tabernacle during the day, and then the pillar of fire was over the tabernacle at night. But whenever the cloud or the pillar of fire lifted, this was a sign for the Israelites that they were to pack up camp and to follow wherever that cloud or the pillar of fire was leading them. And the cloud and the pillar of fire represented the presence of God. So when the cloud was over the tabernacle or the appearance of fire was over the tabernacle, that meant that the presence was there. But when it lifted, that was a sign that they were to go and follow the presence of God wherever it was leading them next to set up their camp. So the people of God, they were led by the presence of God through their sojourning. So they didn't really know where exactly this cloud or appearance of fire was going to lead them. All they knew was that they were to follow it. They didn't even know how long they would be at that place when it stopped. It could be a day or two. They didn't know. They just knew that they had to be ready at every moment to either pause and set up camp, or if they had their camp set up, to quickly pack it up and follow. In verse 22 through 23 says, whether it was 2 days or a month or a longer time that the cloud continued over the tabernacle abiding there, the people of Israel remained in camp and did not set out. But when it lifted, they set out. At the command of the Lord, they camped, and at the command of the Lord, they set out. They kept the charge of the Lord at the command of the Lord by Moses. And something from that passage that just really stuck out to me, and that I never really paid attention to this part, was the fact of how it says that whether it was 2 days or a month or longer, they did not set out until the cloud lifted from the tabernacle. If the presence of God wasn't there anymore, they had to pack up camp and to set out. The people of Israel had to be flexible. They couldn't tell the presence of God, hey, I have plans on this day. Can you postpone your little moving to the next week? No. It was when the presence of God lifted, they had to change whatever they were doing and be flexible and go after that presence of God and follow along with it. And when I was reading this passage, when I was going through these verses, I really felt the Lord speaking to me and just showing me how we are to be like the people of Israel. We have to be flexible and willing to pack up camp if God is calling us to do so and to follow after Him. We must be willing to fully surrender our timelines and our plans in order to seek after His presence. And 2020 is a perfect example of how we are to live this way, how we are not to be living by our own agendas, our own timelines, how we are created to depend on the presence of God. We don't know what our finances are going to be looking like. We don't know what our job is going to look like next month even. We don't even know what 2021 will be like. We all hope it's going to be like this thing where we wake up on January 1st and life is like roses and butterflies are flying around everywhere. But the reality is that it might not be. It might be worse. It might be better. We simply don't know. But when we surrender ourselves to the Lord, when we choose to tell Him, here are my plans and my control, I'm going to go after your presence wherever you're leading me, we can rest assured that we are safe and that we are protected because He knows exactly where He's leading us, because He is before us, He's with us, and He is eternal. So we can rest knowing that the one who knows exactly what's coming up on the road, there is no blind spots for the Lord. He knows exactly what's ahead of us. There's no surprises for Him. So when we choose to trust in Him, we can rest assured that we are going to be okay. And like I said, 2020 has felt that way for, I think, all of us in one way or the other, with jobs closing down, schools closing down, plans being canceled, weddings being canceled. It all has really felt like God is telling us to pack up camp and to go after Him in the wilderness, not really knowing where we're going. And this is really how it's been feeling for me and Joey these past few months, really. We knew that we were going to be moving on. We knew that God was calling us to make the move down to Nashville area at the end of this year, early next year. But we didn't really know what the timeline was. We just knew that God was going to be leading us, and we were to be flexible and be ready to go whenever He called us to go. And this is what it felt like. It felt like the cloud lifted up and God was telling us, all right, it's time to pack up camp. Let's go. We're leaving. It's, like I said, it's super exciting to see God's hand upon this move, knowing that He is in this, that this is according to His plans in our lives right now, that I think we're both really just at peace knowing that we're not really going off of our own time frame or its own timeline, but it's all in God's hands. But yeah, it feels that way. It feels like we are literally packing up our camp and going into the wilderness. We're going to be moving 9 hours away. We have no family down there. I don't even, to be honest, I don't have a job right now. I am interviewing for a position at this moment, but don't have a job offer yet. So it does feel like we're going into the wilderness a little bit here. But we know that when we go after the Lord, when we follow His leading and we go after His presence is going to be with us and everything's going to be okay. So that's what we're resting in right now, is knowing that, hey, God's hand is perfectly upon this situation. We see it clearly. It's a true testimony that God is working in this plan, just with so many testimonies. I won't say everything here because it's going to be like a huge video if I go through every single thing that God has done in the last month in our lives. But truly just seeing how God is in this and how His presence is leading us is just really comforting and assuring, and even for faith, knowing that we're going to be heading out, that there is someone wonderful stepping in to lead worship ministry is just the biggest praise that we could ever ask for. And we're super thankful that God is just working in such big and clear ways. And God is so good. He's so good. But we know too that in reality, though, the wilderness can be scary. There are times that we get frightened, or we fall into doubt, we fall into anxiety. But we are also reminded that the wilderness, as we see through the Bible, it's just a place. It's a season. It's not eternal. And eventually there is a promised land, and we will make it to that promised land. So don't let the worries or the fears and anxiety of the wilderness consume you, but bring them to the Father, because we know that He's going to lead us and He's going to provide that way for us to make it to the promised land. Let Him guide you through this season, and just really be attentive to the Lord's calling on your life. If you feel like He is calling you to pack up camp and to jump into a new season, I'm not saying like, hey, we're gonna pack up our house and move to like Alaska or something. It could literally just be like, God's calling me to jump into serving in a ministry that I've never have served in. Maybe it's children's ministry, or maybe it's student ministry, or God is calling me to step out and to volunteer somewhere here, or God is calling me into a new job position that I want to seek after. If the Lord is calling you, if you feel like He's like calling you to pack up camp, and you feel like He's calling you to a new season, that's probably Him leading you. Like, I mean, pray, ask for the Lord's guidance before jumping into anything. But if you feel like God is calling you into that, if you see that He is leading you into a new season of life, pack up camp. Don't be afraid to pack up camp. Don't be afraid of the unknown, but go after His presence, because where His presence is, that's where we want to be too. We have to learn to be okay with allowing the Lord to interrupt our plans. And I mean, we say interrupt, but He's ultimately in control, so He's not interrupting. He is just doing what He has to do for us, for our good. No matter how unexpected or spontaneous, be open and let Him just guide you to this next season. So friends, before I close this up for this devotional, I just want to say thank you again for just these past 2 years, honestly. The past 1 year as an interim that we served as the interim worship leaders, and then coming on staff in June of 2019, I believe, and just getting to serve with you all every single weekend. It's been a blessing, and we're just so thankful, honestly, for the season that God allowed us to have here with you. I'm super thankful that the Lord allowed me to just be part of the faith family for these last 2 years, and just super thankful for the last 15 years that you have all poured into Joey too, as he grew up here in Davis and at Faith, just serving on the worship team and being involved at church there. So thank you so much. Truly, thank you so much. I always tell Joey that this has just been one of the most loving churches I've ever been a part of, with just different internships that I've done, and just serving at other churches. This has been the one that I've just felt the most welcome into and just most loved. So thank you for being that way. It's the only reason that can be done is by the church body being loving and caring. So thank you so much for doing that, for praying for us again, for coming at 6:30 on Sunday mornings in the dark during snowstorms to serve the church and to serve the Lord. So thank you so much. We're gonna truly miss every single one of you, and we hope to be back soon visiting as we visit our family here. But once again, just thank you, and we will be in touch. We'll be on our social media pages posting stuff, Lord willing. So we just want to stay connected and look forward to coming back and getting to see what God is doing here at Faith with the new ministry that he's going to be starting up with Tanner stepping into this new role. So we're just going to continue to pray for every single one of you. We are going to miss you dearly, and we just honestly love you all so much and are so thankful for the time that we've had with you. So keep running the good race. Keep your eyes fixed upon Jesus, fixed upon the cross, and continue to run after Him and let Him lead you. Never forget how we are in need of a Savior every moment of every day. And again, thank you for these last 2 years, honestly, that have been such a blessing. We're going to miss you. We already miss you. And we'll see you soon.